Okay, we are live, Danielle.
It's setting. It should be live in just a moment. And now.
Okay,
Okay,
we're good, Madam Chair.
thank you. Okay, so we will call this meeting to order. Good morning and welcome to the March 19th, 2025 meeting of the ERCA Executive Committee. I will call this meeting to order. We have do we have regrets from Tanya Jobin?
Tanya's supposed to join, but we have
Okay,
quorum, so we can proceed, Madam Chair.
okay. All right, land acknowledgement. So I'd like to begin by acknowledging that this land is the traditional territory of the Three Fires Confederacy of First Nations, comprised of the Ojibwe, the Odawa, and the Potawatomi peoples. We value the significance, historical, and contemporary contributions of local and regional First Nations and all of the original peoples of Turtle Island, North America, who have given living and working on the land from time immemorial. Is there any declaration of pecuniary interest? Seeing none, we can proceed. So I need a motion that the agenda for the March 19th, 2025 meeting of ERCA Executive Committee be approved. Moved by Larry Verbeek, seconded by, I can't see everyone, sorry.
Okay, then I'll
Okay,
try.
thanks, Jim. Appreciate
Sorry,
it.
Karen.
Mr. Vice Chair, Mr. Vice
Thank-
Chair, seconded.
Well,
Madam Chair.
Karen was ahead of me, but you can't see him, I guess.
Yeah, for some reason I can't see everyone on the screen. Sorry, my apologies.
Oh,
And
Kieran's
okay,
former chair.
Yeah.
any
So hard to have a
opposed?
pecking order these days.
Down.
There you go. Okay, and that carries. So we have no hearings scheduled today. We have no tenders scheduled today on the report. So we'll move forward to ECO 325, sole source procurement of materials from Walker Aggregates. And Kevin has a presentation on this.
Yeah, thank you. So through you, Chair, so the Essex Region Conservation Authority has been working with the Detroit River Canadian Cleanup for approximately 30 years. The Detroit River Canadian Cleanup is a federal and provincial initiative to delist the Detroit River as what's called an area of concern. There are many areas of concern across the province of Ontario and throughout Canada. When originally conceived or listed, there were actually 14 very specific what are called impairments, things like you can't go swimming, the water issues associated with the way the water looks, those types of things. So the Conservation Authority and all of its partners in the federal and provincial governments and all of the other committee members, which include Windsor, LaSalle, and Amherstburg, because they all front on the Detroit River, have all been working on this for a very long time. We have now successfully removed 10 of the 14 things off that list. And of the 4 that do remain, 2 of them are being currently reviewed for delisting as well, which leaves us with 2. The 2 remaining items deal specifically with habitat. One is degradation of habitat, so the quality of habitat, and the other one is just straight up loss of habitat within the Detroit River. So what this project is and the funding associated with this project is solely focused on protecting and improving habitat within the Detroit River to bring us very close to actually fully delisting the river after this very long initiative. So this first proposal, this first report is associated with the construction of a dike and restoration of a dike that already exists. Behind the dike are significant wetlands associated with the Canard River Wetland Complex. And we're moving forward with plans in conjunction with many organizations to do restoration and restore and protect what's behind the dikes, which is a very significant wetland complex in the Detroit River. That's the primary purpose of this particular project. Through the engineering, it's clear that we don't actually have quite enough funding associated with this project. So the federal government was able to, at the very last minute, come up with an additional $200,000 for the Conservation Authority to purchase materials. The actual work won't actually happen until this summer, but the idea is that we can purchase some materials from the quarry, and then when we do select a contractor, which will be at a future meeting, then we'll be able to utilize and pull those materials directly from the quarry. So it adds value in terms of the actual project, and ultimately we get to achieve more in terms of habitat protection. So the actual recommendation before you is that we actually purchase $200,000 worth of aggregate construction material from Walker Aggregates, who is the local supplier of this material. We didn't put this out for tender because the next closest quarry that can supply this type of material is 5 hours away. Once you factor in trucking costs, there's no point in asking them for pricing. So this is why this particular recommendation is structured this way. Thank you very much. I'll be happy to respond to any questions.
So are there any questions? Karen?
Move the rec.
Okay, so the motion on the floor is that administration be directed to purchase $200,000 in aggregate construction materials from Walker Aggregates located at Essex Region for the Canard River Wetland Complex, MMA Marsh Erosion Protection and Habitat Improvements Project. So moved by Kieran, seconded by Jim. Any opposed? And that is carried. The next is the ECO 425 Engineering Consulting Services for the Canard River Dike repairs. And Kevin, you will do this as well.
Thank you, Chair. Related to this is the engineering associated with undertaking the project. Landmark Engineering has been working with the Conservation Authority for approximately a year on this project. They were originally hired directly by Environment Canada to do some of the original work, and then subsequently hired by the Conservation Authority to assist with all the various permitting requirements associated with undertaking the in-water works and getting the Department of Fisheries and Oceans permits. We're at a stage now where we're able to very soon tender this project. So we've sought a detailed proposal for them to do all the various contract admin, inspections, et cetera, to carry this across the finish line. So it's in line with our purchasing procurement policy to move forward as a sole source contract with this, given their prior involvement as the engineer of record on this file. Happy to respond to any questions.
Okay, any questions? Seeing none, the motion is that Essex Region Conservation Authority enter into an agreement with Landmark Engineering Incorporated for engineering consulting services as described in the report in the amount of $135,000. Can I get a mover? Moved by Larry Verbeke, seconded by Jim Morrison. Any opposed? And that carries. Okay, is there any new business that members wish to raise? Seeing none, our next executive committee is scheduled to meet on Thursday, April 10th, starting at 5 p.m. in council chambers at the Essex Civic Center. Following that, the next regular meeting at the ERCA Board of Directors will be held Thursday, April 10th, 2025, starting at 6 p.m. in the Essex Council chambers.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
If I can, I'm sorry to interrupt, Madam Chair.
No worries.
But for the rest of the members, and Kieran, you came on, I think we had a bit of a discussion there. The disc golf, or the disc course out at Holiday Beach. Molly and I, and primarily Madam Chair, we negotiated and we secured a $10,000 grant from private sources to proceed with that work. We have the money. We are proceeding. I think we've got previous fingerprints on with the board this activity, but this is happening very, very quickly. And so we are actively proceeding. We're doing the first 9-hole layout out at Holiday Beach. And then once we have that solidified, we're going to be taking a very close look at the back 9. We have the area. It's in an area that was previously utilized for transient camping. We're minimizing any disturbances because this is prior to nesting season and anything else endangered species. So this is moving at warp speed to get this in again for a great activity to encourage additional use out at the park. So, and it's a nice ancillary use to the cottage improvements that our CFO has been actively engaged with. So the money is there. We are proceeding. There has been previous board fingerprints on that. I just want to make sure that the executive is aware of how quickly we're moving with this. And again, I need to acknowledge Madam Chair's engagement on this. And she brought me in to seal the deal, but the deal was already sealed. So
Thank you. Okay. Well,
Just a question on that, if you don't mind.
yeah.
So, really good job, Molly, securing the funding, identifying the project, and I think there's great potential there. But, I'll just ask the question around operating. So there's the funding is meant for, I assume, the capital piece of it. We anticipate generating revenue through the use and whatnot. What do we think it's going to cost to operate this thing, though? Like, there's going to be some lawn maintenance, I assume. Is that a
Kevin?
person? Is there equipment that's going to be required? And if so, do we have what we need in order to maintain it to the level that it needs to be maintained to provide that service?
Yeah, so through you, Chair, and to respond to Councillor McKenzie, the operating costs associated with it are actually quite minimal. So right now we have a great example of how this operates within the town of Tecumseh. They have an existing course right now. It's just free for use there. We would model ours slightly differently because you have to pay to get into Holiday Beach. The actual area that we're talking about is primarily in manicured cut grass area already. So there's very minimal in terms of additional maintenance, and that's factored into our annual operating costs. There will be a full report on this during the April meeting, dictating the area, the course layout, the cost, the funding that Molly and Tim were able to secure related to the capital costs, etc. So that's all forthcoming during the April meeting. But just outlining exactly what's happening and giving a really full briefing to the board of directors on this one.
So just in terms of the grounds themselves and the maintenance of it, like the grass cutting, we already have all of the equipment. We're already doing all of that work.
Yeah.
Nothing's going to change. It's just now there's going to be this service that's provided on that. Okay.
Yeah. It's an add-on. So there's no real. We may end up doing things like renting like the little frisbees or discs from our gatehouse when our gate staff are working, those types of things as value added for beginners who might be interested in trying it, those types of things. But we do believe there will probably be some additional revenue come in the form of annual passes because people want to access Holiday Beach and buy an annual pass to proceed. So we anticipate there will be a net gain in income in the park associated with this.
That's great.
It's, if I may, Madam Chair, it's quite interesting. We embarked on a digital service called Honk Mobile, and out at Hillman Marsh for birding season. Historically, we always had challenges getting people, staff to man the gate, to collect fees and whatever else. Well, this Honk Mobile now has allowed us to go with a scan device and what have you. And so people coming in, and funny thing is, and even for somebody that's jaded like me, there are honest people out there that actually will scan the device and do it. And what we're seeing is the revenue stream is significant. And then some people, once they scan in and it says, oh, you can buy a season's pass, and they just say, okay, well, I'll pay for the season's pass. And so season's pass, annual pass have just jumped, phenomenally. So now all of these little things that we don't actually nail or charge, a fee for specifically, each one of them that bring in something like, the Honk Mobile thing at Hillman Marsh. There was a couple of things we instituted last year at Holiday Beach. I forget what actually were specifically, but we saw a jump in seasons pass. So again, we're not going to be charging people. There's not going to be somebody standing there at, hole number one, charging a fee, but, we're going to have to figure out again, marshaling and all this type of thing. And as we're seeing in town Tecumseh, a lot of this is very courteous. And a lot of this is, people showing up and they wait their turn and that type of thing. So we're going to work with all of that, but we're thinking that the annual or seasonal pass revenue stream is going to be significant. Now, I think that'll be a bit of a honeymoon. And then after we see it, through this year, then we'll have to respond accordingly with, modification. The other thing that we have that we're looking towards is the grant that Danielle secured some years ago, where we have the concession trailer that we've used at Maple and that we've used at other. We're going to bring that in there. And again, we have our summer staff are trained for smart serve and that type of thing. So as this evolves and as demand triggers and what have you, we have the concession stand that we can do hamburger, hot dog, pop, whatever else, if that's, called for. And then there's, some opportunities there. So we're going to take baby steps and we're going to watch this very closely and, see how it goes. And so really looking forward to it. And we will modify accordingly and report back to the board as required.
And just out of curiosity, when people sign up for the season pass, do we have access to their email? Okay, because one of the things you could do, and just so that you're saying you get a honeymoon period, like one of the things, if we did like the 9 holes this year, and it's just a thought, send out a email saying like, hey, this is new at Holiday Beach, blah, blah, blah. You can rent them at the house, do this, blah, blah, blah. But then the following year, if we're still thinking and it was successful and you're building the other 9 or whatever, be like, hey, did you enjoy your pass this year? Guess what? We're building another 9. It was so successful, blah, 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 right? Like by emailing, I don't know. I just know that emailing my race registrants from the previous year, my thing always jumps up and they always say that like, oh, because you're so responsive and you send out emails, keeping people engaged. That's why they keep coming back, because it's such a easy, accessible thing. So yes, Danielle.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do email all the pass holders every month to say, like, guess what your season pass gets you this month, to highlight the different things that are going on in our conservation areas. So since I started that practice a few years ago, we've seen significant retention in our customer rate.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, engagement, people love it. They just want to.
Yes, Madam Chair, Danielle's a regular carny.
Well, trust me, I appreciate her words very much.
Madam Chair, just I can't remember. What's the cost of an annual pass these days?
I believe it's $89. Kevin would know.
Yeah, that is correct.
89.
So
Okay.
you have to get an access card that the first time it costs an additional 15. But yeah, that's exactly it.
Okay. All right. Just I know we're getting deep into this where we're going to have some see how it unfolds, but yeah, I'm just thinking if Tecumseh's free and we're going to charge that, then will we see the people actually show, and do they have leagues or anything like that where they want to come out every week on a Thursday night or something like that,
So I can follow up a bit more because I do know the disc golf community quite well. And so they do have a disc golf community. They pay a subscription of $50 to join it. And essentially they run 2 leagues. One's on Tuesday and one's on Sunday. And it's mixed doubles, and then one of it's singles. It's very competitive. We have people come from all over the world, in Canada specifically, to come do that course because it's very unique, they say. But then finding out that there's a course coming to Holiday Beach, I mean, to say everyone's excited, they don't want to pay. That's an honest truth. But they're so excited because there's actually trees on the course. If you go to Lakewood, there is no trees on the course. There's like 2 or 3, and they have died and fallen, and they just keep getting less and less. So they like the idea of obstacles. They like the idea of somewhere new. And it has the cool advertisement of being like the most southern disc golf course in all of Canada, which is neat. But from knowing disc golfers, they just want to try something new, practice their skills. And yeah, you have to pay, but I don't think it's so much about getting a league out right now. A league's going to want 18 holes. I'm not too concerned about it being a whole tournament thing that you run. I want it just to be people to come to our conservation area. So the one in Amherstburg that opened, that's 6 holes. It's great. It surrounds the Bodway Park. So you will see entire families. Each of them have a Frisbee. Some might not be registered disc golf Frisbees, but they'll have a Frisbee and they'll go around and just try and shoot it and get it into the net. It's about getting people out into our conservation. I don't think so much our first step is to get people doing a tournament there, but you will get them. They're very excited. They did a conservation series last year and they want to be a part of that, but that's further.
Very good.
Matt, and further to that, Madam Chair, Conservation Halton, Toronto region, and I think there's 2 others that have worked with this organization, and Toronto actually has monetized this to a greater extent than others. Of course, that's Toronto's shtick. And but again, the initial investment and the initial purchase of equipment, each basket and whatever else is, well, we've got a deal being offered to us, $550. We still got to negotiate delivery and some other things on that, but they're essentially an outdoor basketball net, shorter, aluminum tube base. So I mean, it's very rudimentary. And again, if we can manage traffic and use and minimize platforms and minimize disturbances in what we're doing, our staff will regulate the use. Like we have rain and we have other things and whatever else, course can be closed. Like if it's something that's going to create a disturbance or any damage and whatever else, we're closing it, and we'll have to manage that closely and manage that use with it. So we are staffed, and again, it's an ancillary responsibility to the people that we have, in place out there. And again, because there's not additional manicuring and or maintenance or other activities, but when something sounds too good, it sounds too good. So we're lucky. That's why I'm saying we're not doing 18 holes. We're doing 9 holes, and then we will monitor and react accordingly. And if the first year is a honeymoon period and then it falls on its face, our investment is small. As a matter of fact, it's outside sponsorship. The sponsors are excited to work with us, and their donation has secured them an income tax receipt, and they're just so happy to work with us on this. There's something that's going to fall out of that, and I'll speak to the Windsor members on that. And it's some enhancements at Devonwood that I've been speaking to these same people about. And it's very, very early on now, so it's very, very preliminary, but elevated lit boardwalk over top of the existing trails, that then you basically walk through the trees, the tree canopy. And
that sounds amazing. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I wish you could meet these guys, Karen, because she is the brains behind it. Like, I didn't mean to interrupt him, but she literally goes on Instagram, gets these ideas, and she's like, I want to make this happen. Like, she has such wonderful ideas, and they really do seem to care about nature.
And
We're starting, sorry, Madam Chair, we're starting the first trail in South Cameron Woodlot, and so if this person wants to maybe on another
don't
page,
try to eat my lunch like right
I
you're doing this.
think Devonwood's had enough money sent their way, so I think
I agree with you, Mr. Vice Chair.
Yeah.
And we are pursuing some things at South Cameron Woodlot. However, at the moment, we own Devonwood. The existing trail is there. So if the construct is above the existing trail, we don't have endangered species issues. We have some forestry and arboriculture issues to manage and work through. But essentially, we have a disturbed area that will allow for some construction to potentially take place. And this whole concept of an elevated lit boardwalk tied into it would be potentially gazebo type structure that we could actually hold weddings in and weddings on. And so there's some things, and I've not even talked to my I have not even talked to my staff yet about this, but it looks like something where we have someone who wants to work with us on it, interest in sponsoring, and again, a monetization of an existing owned conservation area that allows us to deal with some of the regulatory hurdles that we have to consider.
That's
Okay,
great.
and I'm
Great
going to
news.
interrupt for a second. Should we call this meeting to close just so we can stop our... Okay, so
We're
thank
going
you,
along.
guys. Okay, as this concludes our business of the executive committee meeting, I need a motion that the March 19th, 2025 meeting of the Essex Region Conservation Authority Executive Committee be adjourned. Larry Verbicki, followed by Jim Morrison. Thank you. Any